Hey, David Wygant, Tuesday, December. I can't believe I'm stating that it's December right now. What a year, man. I'm not doing my year in review right now, but I got to tell you, this has been some year. And I'm, kind of glad that it's over, because I'm actually kind of glad a year's over because there's a new year. And then again, the new year is just bullshit anyway, because it's just really just a Monday or a Tuesday that follows the old year. Today, I got Lauren and Jen from It's Complicated Show, and we're going to talk about tattletales, which I've been talking about on the podcast a lot. Your word against mine. Nah. I mean, it just feels like, holy shit. Can we just not spend a day without hearing somebody who threw somebody else under the bus? I feel like the entire world has become a really ugly divorce court. And there's so much going on where it's one word against the next. But we live in a world today where, really, if you think about it, your word against mine doesn't work anymore, because there's really only one version of the truth, because everybody is just leaving a trail behind them via emails and text messages and everything. So it's like almost like we can't concoct stories anymore that don't make any sense. But how do you both feel about this unbelievable amount of outing that's going on in today's world?
I personally love it because I think people like to rewrite history and make it very convenient for them. And, if they want to skew the truth, then they do. But now they're held accountable because everything is written, whether it's in Instagram, direct message, or text, or social media, or email, or Facebook, you name it, there is proof. So I kind of like that people have to actually say what they mean and mean what they say and are held accountable.
What about you, Lauren? What do you think? Lauren, we can't hear Lauren. Lauren's mouth was moving on there. God, you would have sure heard the words. The words were fantastic, but we can't hear Lauren at all. Lauren, can we try again? Lauren's having Wi-Fi issues, Jen. It just might be me, you and I talking till we can hear Lauren's voice. Lauren, nod your head if you can hear us. Can you hear us? Okay, so Lauren can hear. So Lauren, Jen and I are going to talk, and then when you figure out your sound, you just go right in there, right? Because Jen, I agree with you. I mean, I think the your word against them mentality has been pretty bad. If you look at like divorce courts are always like, you've got the truth that somebody's telling, and then you got the person that's been burned and angry. Oh God, the white picket fence fell apart, and they're angry and they're pissed, and they contort, where they make up all sorts of lies 24/7, right? And the thing is, you really can't lie nowadays, because most people are not prepared really for the lies that are going on. So they forget about the endless text messages. They forget about the email exchanges. They forget about all that stuff when they start forming their story, and then all their story has 800 holes in it, and they deny it all. And then, I didn't say that. Really? Well, here's the email from December 13th, 2015. You didn't say that. Here's the email from December 1st, 2012. You didn't say that at all. So I think a lot of it, I think this is great that people are actually starting to have a voice. And I think there's, some really great things, because women need to realize that if a man has their way with them, you actually can speak up nowadays. And I think that's fucking fantastic. Maybe men will change a little bit. But then there's a lot of stories that seem to be old that are coming out, and those are the ones that, something that happened 10, 15 years ago and stuff comes out. That's just, I don't know. There's just something about that. But you mentioned something about our wonderful president. Well, what did our wonderful president do this time?
Well, he has been known to tweet up a storm. And so his fellow politicians are actually starting to call him out, and they're actually putting together a case because it's an obstruction of justice when he airs all of the plans and all of his thoughts about other presidents and other dictators in North Korea and what he wants to do. And you can't do that. There's a reason things are classified. And he is just like, screw the rules. I'm going to say what I want because I'm Donald Trump. And I'm actually very curious to see what happens, because a lot of people have thought that he's going to be impeached during his presidency, or at least, the attempt to. And I think that this is like really where they're going to go with it. And it's interesting that in modern day, the proof is now on Twitter, of all things, social media, 140 characters.
Well, it's interesting. Lauren, you still can't hear you.
No, I think she's muted because there's a little red mic.
Yeah, Lauren, you're muted, I think. You've got to unmute yourself. I know you got a lot to say about this. So see,
Can you?
There she is.
there she is. Go ahead, Lauren. Come on, let's hear you.
Okay, I figured out my technical difficulties, but obviously the technicalities in this situation are right there for everyone to see. I have never understood how Donald Trump has been allowed to tweet the things he tweets. First of all, I don't even know how he's allowed to say the things he says, like the Pocahontas joke that he made like a couple weeks ago. Wrong audience, dude. And he's a loose cannon. This is why I don't think that he should be in the position he's in. And I don't think he should be allowed to like tweet the things he tweets, which, like Jen said, some of those things are classified. I mean, we're talking about, what we're going to do with another country and nuclear bombs and things of that nature. Like, none of that should be something that should be allowed to be discussed on a public forum, let alone just in general. That's stuff that like happens behind closed doors, and you just trust that the person you put into the office is going to like make the right decision and not make an impulse. He hasn't seen it with how you started to talk about sexual situations in women, and now using his power with war and warfare, it gets a little scary. And I don't think he should be allowed to use Twitter or anything, emails or anything, to say what he plans on doing, which is not rational.
Well, also going back to things coming up, resurfacing from back in the day. Well, we all heard the whole thing that happened on Access Hollywood with Billy Bush and the conversation he had with Trump about grabbing the woman by the what.
Mm-hmm.
And Billy Bush was instantly fired from that show, but Donald Trump did not have any repercussions. And now somehow he's in the highest role of our entire country and he is our president, yet Billy Bush was fired. So Donald Trump is hired as the highest role in the country, but Billy Bush faced some sort of implications. So it's interesting that it's coming back around, even though he was somehow voted in as president with that information released. But I think piece by piece, people are going to put together a case because there's enough evidence. And again, like you said, evidence is everything, especially when it's concrete evidence and it's not your word versus mine. It's we recorded you. We heard your voice, sir.
Yeah, but the thing is, evidence is everything, which I think is really great. But we've created this. We've created this mess. We've allowed people to vomit all their shit all over social media. And people have been rewarded for that. You go, girl, you post that what an asshole your ex-boyfriend is. It's like we've rewarded that. We do thumbs up and we do likes for this. So we've literally became a society of outing each other or really outing ourselves. And then all of a sudden we get caught bragging about things, we get caught doing things, and then all of a sudden we get moral all of a sudden. The networks get moral. Billy Bush gets fired. Matt Lauer gets fired. Louis C.K.'s movie isn't allowed to come out. Woody Allen slept with his stepdaughter, but he's still making movies left and right. It's what is it? It's like almost like what is it, America?
Yeah.
America. What is the morals in America nowadays? Are we just going to punish some people but not punish other people? Are we going to accept some people but not accept other people? Are we going to allow a football player to go out and play after Joe Mixon punched his girlfriend at Oklahoma and then got drafted in the second round by the Cincinnati Bengals, right? This was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But Ray Rice hit his girlfriend in an elevator. Everybody saw the video. His wife and her went to counseling. She stood up for him. They got married after that fact, and he's been a spokesperson for it, but he's not allowed to have another opportunity. It's like almost like some people are allowed to get an opportunity while others are made to be terrible, and we have to figure out what this moral consciousness is and really figure out what we're going to do, because it's also inconsistent. Some people get hung and some people don't.
I think that now
it's totally
the country is adjusting and going to be sort of, reining it in and making it more of a consistent system, because everyone is getting fired right now. Like for them to fire Matt Lauer so quickly, I feel like that's a good, version of what's going to happen, because if they're taking matters more seriously and so publicly, then I think that might be setting the standard, or I hope at least.
Well, I have something to say about going back in time, because you brought up a good point with football is kill dogs and burn bugs and shit. And
Wait, Lauren, your
now all of a
Wi-Fi
sudden
is
you're
doing
hosting a
your.
show on like a national
Okay.
network. Like, hello, can you hear me?
No, now try again, Lauren. Your Wi-Fi is terrible. Can we hear you? No,
I am so sorry, guys. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that going back in time is an issue on both sides, because sometimes people use the length of time that has passed to like forgive somebody like Michael Vick, who is now hosting a show on like a after show, a football after show, and for the NFL or a network of some sort, and he is, you know, accused of burning and killing animals, like animal abuse. But all of a sudden it's fine for him to be doing this thing and representing, you know, football again, because he, I guess because time has passed, I don't know. To me it doesn't really make sense. I wonder if people now will go back in time and reconvict people, if they're being so stern, like the Matt Lauer thing, like Jen said, they fired him so quickly. Like, are they going to go back and like retroactively like punish people? Is that even possible?
I mean, it's the moral code of time travel. I mean, it really is. It's like we do forget everything. And we're just, it just seems like the trend now is to rip people apart. But you're right. Michael Vick is back doing his thing. I mean, did Michael Vick learn? And that's another thing too. Do we constantly, once somebody does something, do we constantly just label them that way? I mean, everybody makes mistakes. It's almost like we've become so judgmental. No matter how horrific the mistake is, it's still a mistake. I mean, every single day people are screwing people. Every single day
Yeah, him
people are
burning
screwing.
him burning animals and doing that kind of thing was
It's
like
terrible.
an actual choice he made. So I think, yeah, we can all make mistakes. Like I could hit a car accidentally because I was texting and driving. That's an accident. I maybe learn from that, and hopefully I don't keep doing that. But this person sought out animals and then did heinous things to them. I mean, he should literally, in my opinion, be stoned in the street by anybody who's an animal activist or just people with any kind of conscience, because these are defenseless animals and he's an asshole. Because sorry, you get to play football, cool, but where the hell did you get off hurting animals for a while? And it wasn't just
I
one
know.
time. That's the issue. A mistake is a one-time thing, not a multiple offense kind of thing.
So it's deep rooted character flaws that are probably
Yes.
not being. So that's another thing too. It's like, so yeah, and I agree with you. It's heinous to do that to animals. I mean, they're the most defenseless, beautiful souls in the world. I mean, this is a deep rooted character flaw issue that people probably have, and Harvey Weinstein, I mean, if you look at some of these guys, there's deep rooted character flaws in them. There really is. There's narcissism. That's a deep rooted character flaw that most narcissists will never look in the mirror and say that they're a narcissist. There are people that are generally, evil out there. There are people out there that are really broken, that can't see the truth, don't want to take responsibility, for their actions at all. And outing somebody is fantastic and great, but I think the big healing comes from, is anything going to come from it? Because Americans will forget. Louis C.K. will still have a movie and a stand-up career and everything else for, masturbating in front of people, and people are going to forget, and he'll make jokes about it, and he'll learn from whatever he learns. But where is this, are we teaching lessons, or are we just kind of outing people? Because the fact is, if these people have extreme character flaws, it doesn't matter if they're outed or not.
I agree.
You know?
Also, the problem is there's a million people who enable this kind of behavior, and they have to start being, punished and called out as well. For NBC to say they had no idea that Matt Lauer did this is bullshit.
Bullshit.
Katie Couric called him out. He had a button allegedly on his desk that locked his door. Who installed that fucking button and nobody knew about that? Like, that's bullshit. Everyone knew about Matt Lauer, and he was a creep. And then all of a sudden, you don't think his agents, you don't think Harvey Weinstein's agents knew they were sending girls to hotels that were going to get potentially raped? Like, these
Of course they do. They know liabilities when they're working with them. They actually like build it into their contract. Like, I mean, what's her name? Lindsay Lohan couldn't work again because she was like an alcoholic and like would come in late to work. Yet there are these men that worked in Hollywood forever, and they would just build into their contracts like NDAs or like, you know, all kinds of things, or like handlers assigned to them. And now, well, Matt gets a lock put on his door. That was part of his contract. They accepted that behavior.
Yeah, I think that it needs to start with the people who enable it, and the people who give so much power to these people, that athletes, bigwigs in Hollywood, actors, they are treated like they can get away with murder, and people allow it. So what do you expect them to do? You expect them to think they're able to act a certain way and they're going to get away with it. And it's not just them. It's a combination of them and everyone around them who massages this bullshit behavior.
I think though, moving forward, there will be change because people will be more afraid of being called out. And even that alone, it's like a big brother kind of thing. But I'm okay with it, because if people feel like they are being watched and scrutinized more than they were before when they were doing these things, I'm okay with them having a little bit of fear. And if they have to learn that way, like that's not acceptable behavior because you will be called out. Let's start at least with that. And then hopefully the real change comes about because whatever reason it happens, but at least they know they're being watched, which I think is important.
You know, I like this. We can go on and on and on, but I think we've got our point. I mean, let's ask people out there, how do you feel about it? If a friend of yours has lewd behavior issues, if your friend of yours is right, if your friend is cheating on your wife, if a friend of yours is, you know, doing something harmful to them, do you enable them like NBC enabled Matt Lauer, or do you actually confront them? And I think that's the biggest thing. It's we've become planet of the enablers, you know, and we're not calling people out. We really aren't. We're not calling them out. We're allowing this to happen. And then somebody gets caught, and then all of a sudden, you know, the enablers are like, oh, whoa, wait a second, fuck, whoa, let's get rid of this person, you know, when they've turned their cheek. Everybody knew about Harvey Weinstein stuff. I mean, I'm sure Bill Cosby was well known doing the things he did. People don't hide it. People enable. They enable the talented people because they're making money off of them. And that's how you turn the other cheek. You enable people. So where can they reach y'all? Because that was a really good, I got to tell you, once again, this was another really good show to start your week off. And I want everybody to think about how you enable your friends and why you're afraid to call them out on it. So girls, where can they reach you?
You can reach us at Complicated Show on all of the social media platforms. And you can reach me at Jennifer Golden.
And Lauren? And Lauren?
At Lauren.
Yeah, Jen, you do it, because Lauren's going to sound like Darth Vader.
She's at Lauren Leonelli on all the social medias.
Perfect. And for me, 10-Minute Daily Reality Check comes back at you every single day. We don't know what we're going to talk about tomorrow because every day has a different reality. Yesterday's show, by the way, which you guys should listen to, had a very special guest, my little girl. So she talked about the magic of Santa Claus. She sang songs that she did in school. She talked about being a kid. And it's funny, she is now addicted to doing the podcast. You know, she's like, all of a sudden, you want to do another podcast? She goes, yes, Daddy, can we get home? And like, we didn't get home in time before I had to drop her off at her mom's, but she's like loving it. You know, she just talks in the mic. I recorded 2 shows with her. The other show I recorded with her, she talks about smooching, you know, how disgusting it is, and about, you know, about love and why she likes the S word. You know, she just, for some reason or another, she just learned that word and she likes to say the S word. She won't say it. She'll just call it the S word because she's a good kid. But she's been a very good guest. Maybe she'll be co-host a little bit. But anyway, we'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for joining.